All right, Celtics Nation, buckle up because we've got a deep dive into the latest Boston Celtics action, and this one is full of energy, drama, and some real on-court heroics. Last night's game was one of those contests that makes you sit at the edge of your seat and then lean back, completely spent, because the Celtics showed both grit and flair in ways that remind you why basketball is so thrilling. Coming off a back-to-back, with travel fatigue and a few players dealing with minor injuries, this was not going to be an easy night. The team had to summon that collective willpower to pull through, and pull through they did. Anthony Simons emerged as a real force off the bench, reminding everyone why having a spark plug like him can completely shift a game's momentum. He played 32 minutes, and every second seemed electric. From deep threes to fast break drives, he was a blur, hitting shots that seemed almost effortless while simultaneously injecting confidence into the whole team. His 25 points and 6 assists were a statement, showing that the Celtics' depth might be a bigger weapon than many anticipated. And it wasn't just about scoring. His presence lifted everyone around him, creating opportunities, forcing defensive adjustments, and allowing the starters to breathe just enough to stay fresh for critical stretches. Jaylen Brown, of course, remained a central figure, even with a questionable tag and some lingering concerns about his hamstring. But the Celtics needed him in this matchup, and even if he wasn't at 100%, he contributed crucial minutes and played smart basketball. Picking up his 5th foul early in the 4th could have been a setback, but the team responded, and that's where the Celtics' strategic adaptability shone. The game was still hanging in the balance when the 4th quarter began, and that's when Boston truly took control. Outscoring the Pelicans 35-12 in the final period was more than just a statistical advantage. It was a message. The Celtics could dominate when it mattered most, and they did so with both skill and composure. Rebounding also played a huge role in this victory. The Celtics finished with 54 rebounds compared to the Pelicans' 35, which shows an intensity that isn't always obvious from scores alone. Every board, every defensive play, and every loose ball scramble contributed to a bigger picture. A team willing to fight for every possession and make the game theirs. That kind of effort is infectious. And when you see players like Josh Minott stepping up with 15 points, 9 boards, a steal, and a block, it's clear that energy and determination are not just buzzwords. They are tangible aspects of this Celtics squad. Minott's aggressive style mirrored the impact Simons had offensively, proving that contributions on both ends of the floor are vital to sustaining a win. Then there's the story of Luka Garza and Baylor Shyman coming off the bench. Luka provided 16 points and 6 boards in just 19 minutes, with an efficient shooting performance that boosted the bench output significantly. Shyman's efforts were solid too, adding crucial minutes and defensive stability, proving that the Celtics' second unit has the potential to change games when given the chance. The depth of this roster allows for flexibility, and even though Coach Joe Mazzulla is still figuring out optimal rotations, moments like these illustrate just how many pieces the Celtics have to work with. The win wasn't just about individual performances, though. It was about team cohesion. Despite the absence of Zion Williamson for the Pelicans, Boston had to navigate a physically demanding back-to-back schedule and a motivated opponent. The Celtics proved they could execute under pressure, and that will be key as the season unfolds. While the offense had its inconsistencies, shooting 34% from three-point range, the team still found ways to create open looks, share the ball, and rely on high basketball IQ to make winning plays when it mattered most. The combination of veteran leadership, bench production, and strategic execution allowed Boston to emerge with a victory that felt earned rather than handed. Looking at the larger Eastern Conference picture, this victory helped the Celtics stabilize early on, moving to a record of 1 win and 3 losses. Although it's still very early in the season, every win counts, especially against teams that might have the same aspirations in the standings. The Celtics are now observing teams like the Chicago Bulls and the Philadelphia 76ers, both undefeated, while understanding that every game from here on out is a learning opportunity. Defensive rebounding remains a central focus, especially for a team that doesn't have a dominant big man. Players will need to consistently crash the glass to compete against taller, or more physically imposing teams. That means sacrificing perimeter positioning at times, which could allow opponents to get open three-point shots, but it's a calculated trade-off for control of the paint and second-chance opportunities. The Celtics' ability to balance these priorities will be critical as they face upcoming matchups against challenging teams, including the likes of the Sixers with Joel Embiid, the Cavaliers' rising talents, and Western Conference giants with physical frontlines. Each game is a test of adaptability, stamina, and execution. One of the most encouraging aspects of this game was the mental toughness the team displayed. They didn't panic when fouls mounted, when rotations seemed unconventional, or when the Pelicans managed to stay close through the third quarter. Instead, they found ways to assert themselves in crucial moments. This ability to close games effectively is what separates good teams from championship contenders. Even with a few early season kinks, the Celtics are demonstrating that their core philosophy, combining high-effort defense, versatile scoring, and bench contributions, could deliver results. And while some matchups may highlight areas for improvement, moments like Anthony Simons lighting up the court and Jaylen Brown making key plays under pressure give fans real reasons to believe in the depth and talent this roster possesses. The mix of veterans, emerging stars, and bench impact players creates a dynamic environment where energy, intelligence, and execution can tip the scales in Boston's favor on any given night. The key takeaway from this victory is not just the final score. It's the process, the energy, and the resilience. Players who were quiet in previous games stepped up. The starters found ways to manage their minutes effectively, and the Celtics showcased that they can dominate when everything clicks. Even the adjustments in rotation, including Minot and Hugo Gonzalez, indicate that there's still room for strategic evolution. It's early, but the potential is clear. Boston has the components to compete at a high level, and this game serves as a vivid reminder of what this team can do when effort, skill, and preparation intersect. The fourth quarter explosion, the bench production, and the defensive tenacity all combine to form a blueprint for future success. The Celtics are building momentum, and while there will be challenges ahead, this performance shows that they have the tools, mindset, and talent to make every game competitive, exciting, and strategically sound. All right, let's keep the Celtics momentum going as we dive into the second part, exploring what lies ahead for this team and why the early season performances are so telling. The Boston Celtics now face a stretch of games that will test not only their skill, but also their adaptability and endurance. With back-to-back situations already in play and key players managing minutes carefully, each contest will be an opportunity to see how this roster responds to different challenges. Donovan Mitchell and Evan Mobley loom next on the schedule, and their ability to attack the Celtics bigs will create some intriguing matchups. Boston's front court will need to communicate effectively, box out, and contest shots without sacrificing positioning. Defensive rotations will be critical, particularly against teams that can stretch the floor and force switches. While Mitchell will likely carry much of the scoring load, Mobley's versatility makes him a constant threat inside and on the perimeter, so the Celtics' defensive approach will need to be precise and disciplined. In games like these, effort and positioning often outweigh raw talent, and Boston has already shown that when the team buys into a collective defensive mindset, they can limit damage even against elite opponents. Offensively, the Celtics have to continue balancing their scoring across multiple players. Anthony Simons' emergence as a consistent scorer off the bench is a major plus, giving the starters breathing room while keeping the team dynamic and unpredictable. Jaylen Brown continues to show efficiency in limited minutes, making a significant impact without exhausting himself early in games. This balance between stars and bench contributors is exactly what allows Boston to maintain pace, energy, and offensive flow, even when facing teams with high-caliber defenders or physical frontlines. Rebounding will remain a recurring focus. The absence of a dominant big man on Boston's roster means that crashing the boards has to be a shared responsibility. Players like Minot and Hugo Gonzalez are crucial here. Their ability to secure defensive and offensive rebounds sets the tone for transition opportunities and second-chance points. Every possession matters, and the Celtics' effort on the glass can often dictate the rhythm of the game. The fourth quarter dominance we saw in the last matchup is a blueprint the team will need to replicate, particularly against opponents with strong backcourts or versatile forwards who can exploit lapses in defensive coverage. Looking at the broader context, the Eastern Conference is shaping up to be unpredictable early on. The Bulls and 76ers remain undefeated, signaling that they are ready to challenge for top spots, but there is plenty of time for other teams, including Boston, to assert themselves. The Celtics' 1-3 start does not reflect their potential. These early season results are more about small sample sizes, adjustment periods, and integrating new rotations than true team capabilities. Atlanta, Orlando, the Pacers, and the Nets are all mixed into this early shuffle. And as the schedule tightens, the Celtics' ability to maintain consistency will be tested. Games against Philadelphia, even with Embiid potentially limited, are still high-pressure situations that require discipline, ball movement, and defensive focus. Boston must continue to push the pace where possible, take advantage of mismatches, and rely on the depth of their roster to sustain intensity through every quarter. Upcoming matchups in the Emirates Cup group are also important for evaluating team development. Facing teams like the 76ers, Brooklyn Nets, Orlando Magic, and Detroit Pistons offers a range of challenges, from high-powered scoring squads to teams with developing rotations. Each game is a learning opportunity, a chance to experiment with lineups, rotations, and defensive schemes while still aiming for wins. Players like Jaylen Brown, Anthony Simons, Josh Minott, and Luka Garza provide a blend of scoring, energy, and defensive presence that can be leveraged in different ways depending on the opponent. It's critical that the coaching staff identifies which combinations create the most efficiency and consistency, as well as maintaining player health during what could be a grueling stretch of back-to-backs and high-stakes contests. One of the most encouraging things to observe is the way Boston's bench is evolving. The minutes are being distributed strategically, and players who previously had minor roles are beginning to make tangible contributions. Luka Garza's efficient shooting and board work, combined with Simons' scoring and floor leadership, create a secondary unit that can dictate tempo when the starters rest. Meanwhile, Josh Minott and Hugo Gonzalez provide energy, defensive disruption, and the kind of intensity that can spark a team-wide run. The potential for staggered rotations, with players like these rotating in and out effectively, could give Boston a significant advantage late in games, particularly against teams that rely heavily on a few star players. Maintaining chemistry between these bench units while integrating them with the starters is a delicate balancing act, but it is clear that the Celtics are starting to find rhythm. But before we continue, please remember to subscribe to the channel and give the video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest news about the Boston Celtics. Feel free to share your thoughts on the news in the comments as well. Whispers are spreading fast through the NBA world, and Boston might just be the epicenter of the storm. According to sources close to the situation, the Boston Celtics are on the verge of pulling off one of the most shocking moves in recent memory: the acquisition of none other than Devin Booker. Yes, that Devin Booker, the Phoenix Suns scoring machine, the silent assassin who can drop 40 without breaking a sweat, could soon be donning Celtic green. Nothing is official yet, but insiders are buzzing that the deal has been in quiet motion for weeks. Talks reportedly intensified after Boston's front office expressed frustration over its inconsistent offensive production, even amid their strong start to the season. Adding Booker, a player capable of catching fire and turning games single-handedly, could tilt the entire balance of power in the Eastern Conference. The rumored trade would shake the league to its core. Boston already boasts two All-NBA wings in Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, a duo that many consider untouchable. So how could Booker fit into that mix? Speculation suggests that the Celtics might be crafting an unprecedented three-headed monster on the perimeter, something the league hasn't seen since the days of the Miami Heat's Big Three. Imagine Tatum drawing double teams, Brown slashing to the rim, and Booker waiting on the wing, a nightmare for any defense. Fans in Boston are already lighting up social media with mock-ups of Booker in Celtics green, while Phoenix supporters are bracing for heartbreak. Some question why the Suns would even consider letting go of their franchise cornerstone. Could internal tension or front office shifts be in play? Booker has always remained loyal to Phoenix, but the NBA is a business, and in this league, loyalty often bends to opportunity. If this rumor materializes, the Celtics could become the most dangerous offensive unit in basketball, not just aiming for a title, but for domination. Until official word drops, though, it remains a tantalizing possibility, one that has everyone from fans to analysts asking the same question. Is Boston really about to add another superstar to its arsenal? The league might never be the same. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the Boston Celtics, please subscribe to our channel and give the video a like. We always appreciate your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.